Hello all, this is James Johnson, aka Sulfurblade, and I'm here to kind of dabble a little bit in politics. But not US politics per se, this is more a little bit further abroad. This is European politics, and I've recently been made aware, thanks to a wonderful channel known as Computing Forever by Dave Cullen. Really awesome YouTuber. If you've never checked out his channel, I strongly support you checking it out. I'm gonna be showing you a clip here of a member of European Parliament, a British member of European Parliament. His name is Nigel Farage, and he is basically laying the smackdown in European Parliament, condemning pretty much the rest of Europe and their behavior. Because if you are not aware, the rest of Europe lately has been kind of losing its marbles. Angela Merkel, which is the Chancellor of Germany, and Germany is kind of like the country who seems to have the European Union wrapped around its fingers, and the European Union kind of does whatever Germany wants it to, has decided that the European Union needs to build an army. And the other very influential country within the European Union, France, and their leader, Jean Macron, has gone on record to say that the European Union should become an empire, and supports Chancellor Merkel's idea that the European Union should build an army. And they have both stated that the European Union needs this army to protect it from Russia. Okay, that makes some sense. China, all right, there's some possibilities there. And the United States. Okay, that's interesting. As far as I knew, the US and Europe have been allies for, since long before World War One. Didn't we bail them out of World War One? Didn't we bail them out of World War Two? What's going on here? Has the world lost its marbles? But it has. Go ahead and listen to what Nigel has to say here. This is actually a clip of him speaking that I'm taking out of Dave Cullen's video on his Computing Forever channel. He has a video segment called How Is This a Thing? And I'm actually playing his video right here. I appreciate this this footage, Dave, and here we go.
Mrs. Merkel, many of my Eurosceptic colleagues have been booing you this morning, but they shouldn't be in a way, because the British should be cheering you. Without you, we'd never have made it over the line with Brexit, and I want to thank you very much for that. And of course, many of these Eurosceptic groups on the right, the centre and the left will come back here after the next European elections in huge numbers, directly as a result of your immigration and asylum policy. Your weak and cope led to a huge migrant tide, indeed a stampede, that came across the Mediterranean. Young men coming from very different cultures who were not going to integrate. Young men, none of whom would have qualified as being genuine refugees. And I think in many ways, we looked at it in the referendum and we said, we don't want to be part of an increasingly German-dominated European Union, and we certainly don't want to pay the price for Mrs. Merkel's errors. And I believe, having heard you today and listening to senior French politicians over the last couple of days, that for us, leaving the European Union is now indeed a liberation. It's a European Union that we're told is now to become an empire, a militarised European Union, an undemocratic European Union, a European Union that seeks to continually expand to the east, a European Union that has launched a new Cold War against the United States of America, a European Union that tries to rewrite history. And I think 100 years on from the armistice, we should be genuinely worried. The idea that this new militarized union is somehow a recipe for peace, I suggest you all sit back and think a little bit more carefully. Maybe you should all reread history. The European project was set up to stop German domination. What you've seen today is a naked takeover bid. So I think Brexit becomes a necessity after this. And for the rest of the countries, Mrs. Merkel, you've had a long, successful career. But your political decision to open up the doors unconditionally is the worst decision we've seen in post-war politics in Europe. Is it not time for you at last to admit that you were wrong? Is it not time for you to say to German communities and many others, I'm sorry for what I've done to you and the problems I've inflicted upon you for many decades to come?
And he said it all perfectly.
I agree, Dave Cullen. He said it all perfectly. Wow, what a speech. It's good to know that our friends in the UK still have some balls and still have some common sense, and they're over there fighting the good fight. I'm proud of them for going about Brexit. I'm proud of Great Britain for standing up against the European Union and the tyranny that the European Union seems to be falling into. Let's remember that the European Union just recently passed Article 13 and Article 11, which is basically major censorship of the internet. And with censorship, and now they're wanting to build an army, one has to look at this, at least from a historical perspective, of could another world war actually happen? Could another German-centric led world war really happen? I mean, in the 20th century, we had two world wars that had a gap of, say, what was it? 20-some-ish years. And now we are approximately after the end of World War II, 60s, 80 years past. Could we really see a World War III transpiring within such a short amount of time, even after the devastation of World War I and World War II and the massive effects that they had? Could the Europeans really be that stupid already? And why is it the Germans that always seem to propel Europe into this chaos? And how are they managing to do it yet again? I mean, doesn't anyone take the course of history? Isn't history supposed to be taught in schools to keep us from repeating mistakes over and over again? I mean, World War I and World War II were not that long ago. And now we're seeing the same similar type of rhetoric that's starting, or the same similar type of rhetoric that seems to be transpiring in Europe. Well, at least Great Britain has a good head on its shoulders. And hopefully other European countries will start to see the light and will try to Brexit out of the European Union before they form their army so that they can militarily keep their member states from exiting. What kind of crazy world is this? The European Union was supposed to be an organization created around trade. How did it turn into a government body for an entire continent? How did that happen? How are they dictating law at this point when they're supposed to be a trade organization? That's a head scratcher. I don't quite get it. But anyway, so I wanted to make this video kind of from the perspective of I have a different viewer base. I don't think I have as many European followers. I think most of my followers are either from the US or maybe Australia or somewhere else. And so this type of news, this type of Eurocentric news, I think would be interesting for my viewers, in that we don't really know about the European Union or what Brexit is or why Brexit happened, or most of this European stuff kind of just, it doesn't hit our news. We usually get more domesticated stuff that's geared towards an American, or so on and so forth. And so when craziness happens in Europe, we may or may not hear about it. But craziness of this level, the European Union trying to become an empire, the European Union trying to create its own army, the European Union talking about needing to create an army to protect itself from the United States, that seems newsworthy. That seems like stuff that we should know about here in the US. If we have an entire continent across the Atlantic who thinks we're the enemy and that they need to make an army to deal with us that used to be our allies, what's going on and how don't we know about this? So anyway, that's why I made this video. I just wanted you all to see this amazing Brit slam the rest of Europe in European Parliament. I thought it was a very good watch. Thumbs up for that Brit. And yeah, I don't have much else to say on this comment. I think the video speaks for itself. Anyway, I'm James Johnson. This is my content. Please leave a like and subscribe. And until next time, peace.